What does freedom really mean? Is it having more money, more time, a bigger house? Or is it something deeper? The ability to live life on your own terms without constantly asking permission? Let me just introduce ourselves. I'm Caroline, and this is Vincent. For us, the journey to personal freedom started with changing our mindset. Dirt under our fingernails, sheep in the pasture, and a choice to walk away from the script that most of society tells you to follow. This isn't just about growing carrots or chopping firewood. It's about what homesteading taught us about freedom. Lessons that apply no matter where you live. Like most people, we grew up believing freedom meant climbing the ladder. Go to school, get the job, buy the house, work hard until you retire. But that's the script, and on paper it looks safe, but in reality it's a cage. The job ties you to someone else's schedule. The bills tie you to debt. The endless consumer treadmill keeps you chasing happiness in the form of stuff. And underneath it all, there's fear. Fear of losing your job, fear of not keeping up, fear of falling behind. At some stage, we realised that this so-called normal life wasn't freedom at all. It was dependency dressed up as success. So we did something that to most people looked insane. We quit the jobs, we sold things off, we moved into a caravan with no guarantees. It wasn't all glamorous, but it was the first time in years that we felt like the decisions we made were ours. That was the spark. Eventually, that caravan became a homestead. Raised beds, chickens, sheep, a wood stove, off-grid power, a pantry that's starting to fill up with food that we've grown and preserved ourselves. On the surface, yes, it was about becoming more self-sufficient. But under the surface, it is about something much bigger, reclaiming freedom. So what does homesteading teach you about freedom? First, freedom through responsibility. When you grow your own food, no one else decides what's in it. When you fix your own tools, no one else decides whether you can keep working. Responsibility stops being something heavy and starts being the price of freedom. Second, freedom from consumer culture. You realise quickly that you don't need as much as you thought. You don't need 5 streaming services, a brand new car every 3 years, or a cupboard full of plastic gadgets. Real satisfaction comes from making something real with your own hands. Third, freedom from fear. The world runs on fear. Fear sells products. Fear wins elections. Fear keeps people compliant. But when you know that you can heat your home without waiting for the energy company, when you can feed your family without the supermarket, fear loses its grip. Fourth, freedom of time. It's not that homesteading gives you less work. In fact, it's often more, but it's your work. Feeding animals, planting seeds, cutting firewood. You set the pace. There's a deep freedom in knowing your time isn't owned by a boss or dictated by a punch clock. Now, here's the paradox. Homesteading doesn't remove struggle. If anything, it introduces new ones. Broken fences, sick animals, failed crops. But here's the difference. Those struggles are yours. They aren't handed down by a faceless company or a government policy. They aren't problems you're powerless to solve. They're challenges that make you stronger, not weaker. And that, to us, is the essence of freedom. Not a life without problems, but a life where the problems you face are your own. But here's the thing, you don't need a farm or a woodlot to start learning these lessons. Freedom isn't about acreage, it's about mindset. It's about asking, where am I still dependent? Where am I still trapped by fear or convenience? Maybe for you, it's cooking from scratch instead of relying on takeout. Maybe it's fixing something instead of throwing it away. Maybe it's questioning whether you really need that next shiny thing. Homesteading is just one path to freedom. It happens to be ours. But the principles apply anywhere. So, how did homesteading teach us personal freedom? By showing us that true freedom isn't something you buy or vote for or wait for someday in retirement. It's about something you build in the choices you make daily, choices that trade dependence for responsibility, fear for resilience, and conformity for authenticity. That's what this channel, NFH Freedom, is about. Exploring all the ways we can break free from financial fear, from consumer culture, from social expectations, from fear-based thinking. Homesteading gave us the lens, but freedom is the bigger picture. If that resonates with you, stick around. This is just the beginning.